What's up, Scalawags? We're doing a tier list of the 24-ish commanders that I think are one of the best releases of the year. I might miss some stuff, so if you have a card in mind that I missed, please put it on the comments down below and I'm gonna see it for myself. But now I'm doing commanders that I thought were pretty cool, starting with a Bloomborough Precon deck. Bellow, Bard of the Brambles. It's a Gruul commander, so red green. During your turn, each non-equipment artifact and non-aura enchantment you control with mana value 4 or greater is a 4/4 elemental creature in addition to its other types. It has indestructible haste, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. So it's a cool enchantress slash artifact slash vehicle deck. Um, it's very unique, right? Like, this is the first time we've seen an a type of this enchantress deck that goes aggro. Um, this is one of the precon decks that actually captured my attention. But the more I played it, the more I witnessed the weakness of this deck, which is Bellow himself. If Bellow dies, the whole deck turns off. Like, sure, there is a combo at the precon, like I think it's a Kodama of the West tree. I think it's one of the Kodamas. Again, like, you don't really have much creatures outside of your enchantments, your vehicles, and your artifacts. So once Bellow gets removed, that's it. Game over. Your deck is probably gonna be useless for a while. So if you're gonna build a Bellow deck, in my opinion, you should make a plan B outside of what Bellow can do, because going all out on what Bellow can do is kind of iffy, because again, Bellow does one thing and one thing alone. It's cool and unique, but the moment he's gone, the deck's over. With that in mind, I'm gonna put Bellow at B. I honestly thought he was A because of how cool and unique the ability is, but the moment he gets removed, the deck's over, right? But I think B is a good place for Bellow. Next up is the Jolly Balloon Man. Not Danny DeVito. It's a Boros commander. It has haste. You can pay 1 to tap it, create a token that's a copy of another target creature you control, except it's a 1/1 red balloon creature in addition to its other types, and it has flying and haste. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step, and you can activate this only as a sorcery. I believe this is probably nerfed Kikijiki, and yet it's still as strong. The fact that it's also Boros, so you have white as your supporting color, the Jolly Balloon Man can pop off. It's a strong commander. I think it's probably one of the most unique Boros commanders, because outside of Boros being aggro or tokens or artifact equipment decks, the Jolly Balloon Man is a cool addition to the Boros archetype of it being a quote-unquote token combo deck. So I think Jolly the Balloon Man has got to be an A. It's not cool, in my opinion. It's not cool enough to be an S, because it is just Boros Kikijiki, but it's still a Boros Kikijiki, so it has to be A, right? Next up is Flubs the Fool. Flubs the Fool is a green, blue, red. I think that's Teamer. I might be wrong. I just played this game. Anyway, legendary creature Frog Scout. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. Whenever you play a land or cast a spell, draw a card if you have no cards in hand. Otherwise, discard a card with a 0/5 body. Flubs is very fun. Possibly one of the coolest commanders we've received so far, at least in Bloomborough. And the problem though with this deck is that it's very chaotic. So you want to play without a hand, without a full grip. And if you have cards like can help you play stuff on your graveyard, like Underworld Breach, Crucible of Worlds, stuff like that, Flubs can pop off. It can combo off. or it can do absolutely nothing. That's the problem with Flubs. So with that in mind, I'm going to put Flubs at sadly B. I think he is unique and cool enough to be at A, but the fact that he's so inconsistent and you can do 30-minute turns doing nothing, or a 30-minute turn pretty much killing the entire table with burn spells or probably an infinite combo, it's still so inconsistent. Like, even if it's a high power deck, well, at least in my games when I played a sorta high power Flubs the Fool deck, I thought it sometimes did nothing. Next up is Ezio Auditore de Firenze. I probably butchered that, but it's a one in a black legendary creature human assassin. It has menace. Assassin spells you cast have free running for black black. Free running is basically you can cast a spell for that mana cost if you attack or dealt combat damage with a assassin or a commander. And then whenever Ezio deals combat damage to a player, you can pay Wooburg. If that player has 10 or less life, they lose the game. Ezio is probably the assassin commander, right? Much akin to Yuriko being quote unquote the ninja commander, Ur Dragon being quote unquote the dragon commander, and Edgar being the vampire commander. Ezio is probably one of those types of commanders as well, where he is the baseline commander for assassins, and I think that's where it gets bad. As much as I love Edgar and Yuriko, they're not really unique and does something cool for the archetype itself. Ezio basically makes your assassins free, well, sort of free, very cheap, and if you pay Wooburg, you make someone lose. Like, he's so fucking boring. Just like Edgar, as much as I love Edgar, he doesn't really do much for the vampire type. You just do more on the stuff that you already do. Same thing with Yuriko. Well, not really. Yuriko plays itself. It's a very easy deck to pilot. Same thing with Edgar and Ur Dragon. They just play itself. Ezio is one of those types of commanders. He's not, in my opinion, he's not as strong as Yuriko, Ur Dragon, or Edgar, but he is that boring because yes, he is possibly one of the best assassin commanders because he just makes your assassins just cheaper, right? Like Ur Dragon, he makes dragons cheaper, but again, like, they do nothing to make the archetype a little more unique. So, with that being said, Ezio will go to B for boring. It's strong enough to be at A, but it's not as good, in my opinion. Like, no, sorry. He's good enough to be at A, but he's not unique or something mind blowing for the assassin type. So I'm going to put Ezio at B. Next up is Miss Bumbleflower. Miss Bumbleflower is a one green, white, and blue rabbit citizen. Vigilant. Whenever you cast a spell, target opponent draws a card, put a +1/+1 counter on a target creature, it gains flying until end of turn. If this is the second time this ability has resolved this turn, you draw 2 cards. Basically, Miss Bumbleflower is a lying bitch. She is a group hug deck or group hug commander that would be like, hey, wanna draw some cards, baby? And when you said, yeah, I'm gonna draw some cards, and then the moment she sees you being vulnerable, she's gonna smack you with a vigilance flying commander that pretty much goes for lethal. Group hug decks are liars. They're gaslighting bitches, and Miss Bumbleflower is possibly one of the worst because it's right there. It's written on her text box. Somebody draws a card, and then something from you gets bigger, and then you draw 2 cards instead. Like, it's insane. Don't listen to group hug decks. Miss Bumbleflower is a menace. With that being said, Miss Bumbleflower is an A. She's a very strong group hug deck, quote unquote group hug deck. Um, possibly possibly one of the best, right? But not in my opinion, not strong or unique enough to be at S, but strong enough to be at a strong A. Next up is Igra, Eater of All. Oh man, I love this card. 3 black green, a legendary elemental cat. He has a ward, sacrifice a food. Other creatures are food artifacts in addition to their other types and have 2 tap. Sacrifice is permanent. You gain 3 life. So basically, if you want to target Igra, you either kill an actual food artifact or one of your creatures. Whenever a food is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put 2 +1/+1 counters on Igra, Eater of All. This card is so cool. It's possibly one of the, in my opinion, the best commander that we got in Bloomborough. I think Igra is so freaking cool. You can go either way with a full on food deck, an artifact deck, right? A Golgari food artifact deck, or you can go for an aristocrat deck, or you can go for like pretty much a Voltron deck. Well, either way, you are gonna get a Voltron because of how big Igra is gonna get at the end of your shenanigans. I built Igra as a aristocrat combo deck, and I put some plan Bs in there to make Igra have to give Igra evasion, something like Garruk's Uprising and other stuff that gives a creature trample or whatnot, so that if I didn't have any pieces for my combo yet, like Confectioner, Peregrine Took, and whatnot, Igra can still kill someone. So it's a really cool deck. I think it's one of the best cards that we've gotten. That is a legendary creature for this year's. In that, with that in mind, I'm gonna put Igra at S. Somebody might disagree. Somebody might say like, nah, Igra's overrated. Probably, but in my opinion, Igra is the coolest commander that we've gotten for a long time. Next up is Balin, the Haymaker. Red, green, white, legendary rabbit warrior. You can tap 2 untapped tokens you control to add 1 mana of any color. Tap 3 untapped tokens to draw a card, and tap 4 untapped tokens to put 3 +1/+1 counters on Balin, and it gains trample until end of turn. This is basically token deck plus. So it has the token. You can put the token package of Boros, the cool token package of Boros, like with stuff like Anointed Possession. Um, what else? The Dominus. I forgot the name. Mondrak. Yeah, Mondrak. I think that's the name of the Phyrexian Dominus thing that doubles all tokens created. You could put Ohair Tak. I think Ohair Tak is the name of the white Ohair. To pretty much again double the amount of tokens you get. And then of course Cathar's Crusade, a pain in the ass to resolve, but it makes Balin very strong. Other red packages as well, like Perforos, I think God of the Forge, the Perforos with the Impact Tremors ability, and of course Impact Tremors as well, and War Leader's Call for another Impact Tremor. So Balin is a Boros commander with the added ability to also ramp because Balin has green. I also, what the fuck? I didn't realize that Balin's 4/3. Bro, this card's broken as fuck. Anyway, I think Balin's cool. Balin is, of course, it's another token deck, but I think it's cool enough to utilize your tokens in a way where you can either use them for value or for, to make it a quote unquote Voltron deck with the last ability. So with that being said, I'm gonna put Balin at A. I think it's one of the coolest token commanders we've received for this year. Um, possibly ever, honestly, because after that, I am going to talk about Arabella, the abandoned doll, a Boros. Basically, an actual token deck, like a generic token deck, whenever Arabella Abandoned Doll attacks, it deals X damage to each opponent and you gain X life, where X is the number of creatures you control with power 2 or less. It, it's okay. Don't get me wrong. Arabella is strong. She is very strong. But outside of tokens, Arabella doesn't do anything much like Balin. Balin can have mana. Balin can draw hard. Balin can get bigger. Arabella just you ping everyone, right? Like it's just what tokens do already. And the fact that it's also in Boros is just another Boros token commander. So I'm gonna put I want to put Arabella at C because it's something that we've seen already, right? We've seen what Arabella can do. Again, you pair that up with the usual Boros tokens package with Porphyros and the like. So yeah, I think Arabella is strong. She is very strong. You can make a very good token deck with Arabella, but again, not unique, not great, not amazing, but strong. Next up is Kona, Rescue Beastie, 3 in a green, legendary good boy. Survival at the beginning of your second main phase. If Kona is tapped, you may put a permanent card from your hand onto the battlefield. Kona is basically gonna be a stompy deck, right? Like you put all of the big ass green creatures like I don't know, Earth Shaker, Maw thing, Galta, fucking your mom. Yeah, Kona is very straightforward, very one-sided. Probably baby's first green commander deck. With that being said, I'm gonna put Kona at B. Actually, no, I'm gonna put Kona at C. Kona has the potential to be strong on the right deck, and is also very easy to turn survival online with stuff like Relic of Legends and whatnot. But it's just boring. It's mono green Stompy. It's another mono green Stompy, but this time things are free. It's super boring, and it's also very fragile and glass cannon ish. So you have to put um stuff like heroic intervention, Tamiyo safekeeping, of course the Swiftfoot Lightning Greaves package. But yeah, like Kona's just not interesting enough for me. Next up is Vagaboth, Harrow of Souls, Rakdos, 2 black red, Elder Demon, flying ward, pay 2 life. Whenever an opponent loses life for the first time during each of their turns, put a +1/+1 counter on Vagavoth, and you draw a card. This card is basically Obnixilis to Electric Boogaloo. Actually, no. I think Obnixilis is objectively better in terms of card advantage because Obnixilis can have more than one potential quote-unquote draws each turn somebody gets pinged. But the difference between Vagavoth and Obnixilis is that Obnixilis cares exactly 1 damage. Vagavoth, in the other hand, doesn't care about what type of damage or how much damage they're getting as long as they're getting damaged. With that in mind, Vagavoth is a strong commander, but sadly not that unique. It's a group slug deck that is possibly better on other group slug decks, group slug shells like Obnixilis or maybe Necrosar or something like that. But yeah, Vagavoth is cool, but sadly not unique. So I'm gonna put Vagavoth at the C. Strong, but again, he's not quite there. Next up is Marina Vendrell, Wooburg, legendary human warlock. When Marina enters, reveal the top 7 cards of your library. Put all enchantment cards from among them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. You can tap her to lock or unlock a door of target room you control, and you can only activate as a sorcery. So this is going to be an enchantress deck, but that focuses on rooms. The problem with this card is that as long as we're not getting any new rooms, Marina is not gonna be, well, some might think that this is a actual positive, but Marina's not gonna change if there's no new rooms. Like, sure, you can build just an Enchantress deck, a WUBRG Enchantress deck with the usual Enchantress package, or you can go full on room deck. But again, since Duskmourn is possibly the exclusive plane for rooms, we're not gonna see anything new for Marina in a probably long while until, I don't know, they might make a new room in either Drift or in Tarkir. Maybe. I don't know. Who knows? But right now Marina is, the potential is there, but depends on the type of rooms that they're going to make in the future. Right now, I think the rooms that we got are pretty cool. There are rooms for a lot of archetypes, but that's a problem, right? The problem is there's a lot of rooms that supports an archetype, but there's not a lot of rooms that supports the room archetype. You know, like Marina is probably gonna be a mishmash of stuff that works better on something else. With that being said, I think Marina is a solid B. I think she's unique, a unique take on Enchantress because it's a new mechanic. Rooms is a new mechanic, so the potential is there. The potential to be strong is there, but eh, we'll see. The moment they make new rooms, the moment we see Marina getting better. Anyway, next up is Niv Mizzet Visionary, a new Niv Mizzet. Holy shit, how many Niv Mizzets do we have? Four is it, for blue and red. Legendary Dragon Wizard, flying, you have no maximum hand size, and whenever a source you deal non-combat damage to an opponent, you draw that many cards. So if you deal a lightning bolt to someone's face, you draw 3 cards. This is a cool take on Niv Mizzet, and it's also really funny that Niv Mizzet pretty much combos with himself with Firemind, Parun. So that's cool. That's pretty cool. This is arguably one of the better Niv Mizzet commanders in terms of just Izzet, because my personal problem with Parun, even though I think Parun is a better commander, is that Parun is triple blue, triple red, while Niv Mizzet is 4 generic and blue red, and that is enough for me to say that Niv Mizzet might be better cost wise. The Visionary might be better cost wise as a commander than Parun and or Firemind, because they're just harder to cast than Visionary. Even though, again, I think Parun or Firemind are better. Well, no, Parun is better in terms of the consistency of what it can do, because at least Parun can do something by himself. Visionary sadly cannot do anything by himself. You need actual instants and whatnot, but again, Visionary is easier to pull off and easier to cast. That being said, I think I want to put Niv Mizzet at the bias in me of liking Niv Mizzet wants to put it on A, but it's just another Niv Mizzet card. Yeah, fuck it. I'm gonna put it on A. I think Niv Mizzet is cool. Again, it's a new Niv Mizzet card. It does the same thing as Firemind. It does the same thing as what Parun and Firemind wants. So it goes in that shell. It either goes to the command zone or to the 99. It's up to you. But in my opinion, I would probably still run Parun as a commander. But the more I would test this, I would probably change my mind. Next up is this goofy. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. What the fuck? He's goofy as fuck. Anyway, this is Rufus Sproutsire, 2 in a green. I believe this is the first Saproling creature card we've gotten that isn't a token. Trample, whenever a Saproling you control deals combat damage to a player, create that many 1/1 green Saproling creature tokens. This this is the first Saproling commander we've gotten, right? Like an actual Saproling commander. We're not talking about something like Myco Tyrant, where he's an elder fungus that creates saprolings and cares about saprolings. Shrufus, Sproutsire, is a saproling that makes saprolings. So, with that being said, I think Shrufus in the command zone is rather weak. He's rather weak and, again, very one sided. Mono green doesn't really do a lot of unique stuff outside of get big boys, get big mana, boom pow, smack face. So the bias in me says that Shrufus is a C in the command zone, but in a shell like Myco Tyrant, he's an A. Like this is a must. This is a must-have in Myco Tyrant decks. But Shrufus by himself is kind of meh. You know, like it's actually no, I'm gonna put him on D. No, I'm kidding. I'm gonna put it on C. It's not D yet. Should I just remove D? These nuts? I can delete it. Whatever. Um, because okay, maybe okay. Let me explain on why I don't have D yet. D is probably the tier where it's like, oh, this is unplayable garbage. Do not play this on the command zone. This does not work on the command zone. Don't play it ever. So only play it on the 99. But most of these cards really do work well on the command zone, even at C, because again, like I said, Arabella is strong in the command zone. She is strong. She's just boring. Same thing with Kona. He's strong. It's just boring. Trufus is a strong commander. It could be a strong commander, but I think he's stronger than 99 for other Saproling Matters commander like the Myco Tyrant. Next up is the Eldrazi deck of 2024, Ulalek Fused Atrocity. It's a hybrid of Wooburg and Colorless, so it's either 5 colorless or Wooburg hybrid, whatever. Devoid, so it has no color. Whenever you cast an Eldrazi spell, you may pay 2 colorless. If you do, copy all spells you control and copy all other activated and triggered abilities you control. You may choose new targets for the copies. What do I want to say about this card? It's strong. Absolutely. It's absolutely strong. But the problem with this card is that the moment it comes to the battlefield, and if you don't have enough mana, it does nothing. You have to cast an Eldrazi spell for it to do something, and the fact that you have to pay 2 mana as well, it's such... It's strong. If it pops off, it's strong. But, man oh man, I wish it does something the moment it comes to the battlefield. So sadly, I want to put Ulalek at... No. Damn, I want to say D. But D's reserved for stuff that is unplayable. Ulalek isn't unplayable. He just does nothing. I'm gonna put him on C. Ulalek is strong, yes, but I think the better commander is the other one. I forgot the name of it, but it's the Eldrazi Scion deck, Eldrazi Scion commander one. I should have put it there on the tier maker. If he was here, he's probably gonna be at A, I think. Yeah, he's gonna be at A. Ulalek is, I don't know, he's playable, but I just think he does nothing much. Sadly. Forgive me for the Ulalek fanboys out there. Please do not kill me. Next up is the Necrobloom, aka the Field of the Dead, but in the command zone. 1 white, black, green legendary plant landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, create a 0/1 green plant creature token. If you control 7 or more lands with different names, create a 2/2 black zombie creature tokens instead. Land creatures in your graveyard have dredge 2. It's Field of the Dead on the command zone, basically. It's disgusting. It's very strong. It's very strong. It's the reason why Field of the Dead spiked. I was gonna buy it, put it on my Will Health deck. But god damn, it spiked the moment this guy got spoiled. It's so tragic. But the Negro Bloom, talking about the Negro Bloom himself or itself, it's strong. Again, it's a very strong card. It's a land card, so it's very degenerate. However, I think it's not. No, I'm not gonna put it on B. I'm not gonna put it on B. I'm gonna put it on A just because of how strong the Necro Bloom is. Not an S. Sadly, I don't think it could be an S, but it's not unique. You know what I mean? It's another landfall deck, and the fact that it just synergizes with Field of the Dead and Vesuva and Thespian Stage and Echoing Deeps. I think the cave that copies something on the graveyard as a land. So it's strong, but it's not unique. But it's very strong to not be at B. So I'm gonna put it on A. So yeah, that's the Necrobloom. Next up is Voja, Jaws of the Enclave, 2 red, green, white, legendary wolf. Holy shit. Vigilance, trample, ward 3. Whenever Voja attacks, put X +1/+1 counters on each creature you control, where X is the number of elves you control. Draw a card for each wolf you control. What the fuck is this card, man? Like, what? This card is so fucking pushed. Very pushed. It it's so strong. It's a Vigilance Trample Ward 3. It's a 5 mana 5/5. Whenever it attacks, you just do stuff. So at minimum you draw one card. So basically this is basically just an elf deck, right? Because there's not a lot of good wolf cards, I think, but there is a lot of good elves. So Voja as an elf ball deck is tragic. Because it's much better than Lathril. It's much better than um what's another elf deck? It's much better than Azuri. It's much better than the new Jumpstart elf deck, Dionis. But Voja Roja just does what elves want to do, but better. Like there's it's strong. It's so strong. It's very strong. By strength alone, Voha or Voja, whatever. I'm just gonna say Voha. Voha is S, just by how good the card is. But because of how boring and streamlined he is, just because of how push, like, look at that, Vigilance Trample Ward 3. Remove two of those and remain and get only one of them. Like, if it only has Trample, it's still good. If it only has Vigilance, it's still good. If it still has Ward 3, it's very good. Like, the Ward 3 alone makes it, like, super broken. But Voa's ability to just do more stuff when you're already doing good is insane. So with that alone, he's an S, but fuck it, we ball, he's an S, right? Like, he's that strong. Personally, I don't like him just because of how pushed and how autopilot he is. Even though I am an Edgar Markov fanboy, but Voha is like there's if I'm gonna build a Voha deck, I'm just not gonna think of how I want to build a deck. It's just put some elves. If there's a good wolf, I put a good wolf, and then the usual red, white, green package of good stuff, right? Like of staples, like Voha is hard to remove because of the ward. So, and it's also an elf ball deck, so you always have to have a field wipe. So if there's a Voha at your pod or on your meta, you probably need to build at least each and every single one of you on the pod have to probably have at least 4 board wipes on your deck, because this deck, if the moment this deck untaps or taps to attack someone, it's gonna snowball so hard. Voha needs to either be, the player needs to be removed, or it can never be on the field ever. So with that being said, Voha S. Could be S plus, but I don't have an S plus. But this is an S card. You might think it's overrated. Some might think it's overrated. But personally, in my opinion, he's very strong. Not CEDH. but strong enough for casual. Speaking of CEDH, Stellar Lee wildcard. I wanted to buy this deck, but every single one of the LGS near me is sold out for good fucking reason. It's a one blue red legendary human rogue. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, exile the top card of your library until end of your next turn. You may play that card. You can tap it to copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. Activate only if you cast 3 or more spells this turn. It's strong. It says Stellarly S for Stellarly. There's nothing much to say. She's very strong, possibly one of the strongest commanders we've gotten in this year. CEDH, by the way, she's CEDH, so there's that. And yeah, I think. Oh, wait, no, there is possibly a contender for Stellar Lee, but we're gonna get there. But yeah, Stellar Lee as she's an Izzet deck that that's she's cool. She's cool. Next up is Obeka, Spirit of Seconds, Grixis in a white, Grixis in a one, legendary Ogre Warlock. She has Menace. Whenever Obeka attacks or deals combat damage to a player, you get that many additional upkeep steps after this phase. Obeka is cool. You can build her as a upkeep Voltron deck. So if you have upkeep cards like Monarchy, not Monarchy, the what are the cards? It's the cards that gives Monarchy, like the court cards from Eldraine, the fudge. I don't remember the other cards. The enchantments that does something on your upkeep, and it does an extra stuff if you're the monarch. So you can build a deck around that. So Obeka is cool, but sadly, even though she has blue and black for the great interaction, um, she's rather fragile. The deck itself is fragile because it's an upkeep deck, and if Obeka didn't hit anyone, you're not gonna do anything after your upkeep. So yeah, Obeka is either the best at the table or the worst because it does nothing. Well, you can pretty much say that on any commander. But yeah, Obeka is easy to disrupt, easy to get rid of. She doesn't have any protection by herself. So, but she's strong enough to hold out on her own. So I'm gonna put Obeka at B. Um, she's okay. She's okay. Next up is the Wise Mothman. One black, green, blue, legendary insect mutant. Flying whenever the Wise Mothman enters the battlefield or attacks, each player gets a rad counter. Whenever one or more non-land cards are milled, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to X target creatures, where X is the number of non-land cards milled this way. So, rad counters is a new mechanic from Fallout. I think I'm not gonna think. I'm gonna search it. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, if you have any rad counters, mill that many cards. For each non-land card milled this way, you lose 1 life in a rad counter. Yeah. That's pretty cool, right? Like, I think the Wise Mothman is cool. Sorry, I don't really know a lot of Fallout. I play Fallout, but I don't know the Fallout decks because none of my pod plays the Fallout commanders. But the Wise Mothman is a cool twist to the mill archetype. So yeah, I think the Wise Mothman is pretty cool. We're gonna put Wise Mothman at, I want to say A. He's cool enough, and that effect is pretty strong, right? Like, you mill, you also get damaged potentially, and something gets bigger, or more of the things gets bigger. So I think the Wise Mothman is pretty good. I think it's pretty good. Oh, next up is the Stellar Lee contender. I was saying Storm, Force of Nature, one green, blue, red for a legendary mutant hero, Flying Vigilance, Ceaseless Tempest. Whenever Storm deals combat damage to a player, the next instant or sorcery spell you cast this turn has Storm. Broken. That's all I want to say. This card is broken. The fact that any any of your instant or sorcery can have Storm is insane. You play before your combat, you play a lot of preordains, a lot of considers, a lot of opts. So a lot of these one mana spell that fuels your storm counter, and then the moment you hit someone with storm, if they don't have any flyers or reach, boom, the table gets destroyed, gets wiped away in a single snap of a finger. Storm is very strong. S. Absolutely an S. Possibly one of the strongest cards we've gotten in the year. I keep on saying that on S, on the S tier, because they are that strong, right? I put Igrat S because of my personal opinion on how cool and unique he is. He's if you compare Igra with Voha, Stellarly, and Storm, he's gonna be a B, right? If you compare it with the S. But the reason why he's an S is because of how fun and unique he is. It's not just how strong he is. He's not as strong, but he is fun as fuck. So I'm gonna put, but in terms of power alone, Storm has to be an S. But in terms of like uniqueness and how cool and how fun it is to build, I want to say A. But Storm is so fucking strong that it just blows out the thinking process of deck building and how you can make this like a unique deck, because no matter how much you build Storm, like even if you have like what infinite turns, like you have infinite burns or infinite whatever, like it doesn't really matter because Storm is just gonna storm off. There's nothing really much you can do to nerf Storm. It's still gonna be really strong. Next up is Ophelia Viper Whisperer, 1 and a black for Medusa from Faith's Day Knight, legendary Gorgon Assassin, Death Touch. Whenever Ophelia attacks, you may pay 1 or a hybrid blue-green. If you do, create a 1/1 black snake creature token with Death Touch. 4 in a black until end of turn. Whenever 1 or more Gorgons and or snake you control deals combat damage to a player, that player loses half their life rounded up. This is terrifying. This is terrifying. The only reason why this card isn't absolutely horrifying is because it doesn't have a better evasion. If this has menace, bro, this is gonna be a very strong commander. But right now, Ophelia is she's good. She's good. I want to say yeah, I'm gonna say she's an A. I think she's a good commander. She's probably better in the 99 with something like Ezio or whatnot. She is a Gorgon Assassin, but no, not really. She's already 2 mana. So yeah, I'm gonna say Medusa from Fate's Day Night is gonna be an A. She's cool. I like her. Next up is another waifu, Evereth, Viceroy of Plunder, 2 in black, legendary vampire soldier. She has flying, sacrifice another creature or artifact, put a +1/+1 counter on Evereth. If the sacrifice permanent was a treasure, she gains lifelink until end of turn, activate only as a sorcery. When she dies, you may pay 1 in a hybrid black-red. Whenever you do, Everett deals damage equal to its power to each opponent. So this is like an aristocrat slash artifact deck that cares about sacrificing your own stuff. It doesn't have to be a treasure token to sacrifice if you don't care about the lifelink. But in of itself, the global ping for the last ability when she dies is it's pretty cool, I guess. But the more I read about her and the more potential stuff that I can think about in making a deck for her, the more I feel like she is gonna get boring the more I play her, because it feels samey, like Evereth is probably gonna be cool the first time you play her, and then the more you play her, the more you go on and on and on and on. At the end of the day, what you want to do is pretty much kill her and deal 20 damage to everyone. So, I, eh. Oh, she can also have lifelink, so you can. Oh, it's only a sorcery, but you can still do it though. So you can give her lifelink, kill her on your own with your own cards, and then pay 2 mana, and then boom, you get 60, 80 life for some reason. So I think she's cool, but I don't think she's cool enough. I'm sorry. I think she's a C. Um, Possibly could be better, but I think she's just boring. Next up is another waifu, Rev, Tithe Extractor. 3 in a black. Legendary human rogue. Whenever you attack, target creature gains death touch until end of turn. Whenever one or more creatures you control deals combat damage to a player, create a treasure token. Then look at the top card of that player's library and exile it face down. You may cast that card as long as it remains exiled. Ooh, this is great with Olivia Opulent Outlaw. But by itself, actually, I want to ask, why the fuck is this card expensive? Why is this card $30? I actually want to know, why is she $30? Is it because she's a waifu? Is that it? Well, whatever. By herself, I think she's okay. She gives something death touch, which is it is evasion, but a not evasion that is not strong enough in my opinion. So when you deal combat damage to a player, create a treasure token, look at the top card of that library. So you can steal someone, you can Etali someone's card. Let's Etali someone. And I don't know. I think why is this card $30? Not gonna lie, I don't know why this card is $30. I'm gonna put her at C just because of that. I I don't know why she's $30. Why the fuck is she $30? Anyway, General Creed, the Bolt Bringer, 2 in a red, Legendary Goblin Soldier. Whenever one or more goblins you control attack, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token that's tapped and attacking. Whenever another creature you control enters, General Creed, the Bolt Bringer deals 1 damage to each opponent. This is basically Impact Tremors on the command zone. That can also have fucking goblins. Um, this is pretty good. This is pretty good card. Is it better than Cranko in the command zone, or is Cranko better in the 99 with this card? Because at least with the General Creed, you can have a consistent impact tremors with him on the command zone. Yeah, I'm gonna put General Creed at B. It's another goblin deck. It's another goblin card. I think it doesn't do much for the goblin archetype. It's just another good goblin card. So yeah, I think that's it. I think I'm okay with this. Do I want to put someone up or someone down? Okay, so that's it. I just put Ophelia down to B because it's a strong effect, but it's not it's not bombastic. You know, like it's not amazing. It's strong, but it doesn't really do much for me at least. So yeah, that's it. This is my tier list for the top 2024 commanders from Karlov Manor to Foundations. If you have any violent outrage on my opinions, please feel free to do so, but be civil. Have mercy upon me. If I missed a card, or if you think a card should be mentioned, please let me know in the comments down below. With that being said, I think that's it. Have a merry Christmas, or any happy holidays or whatnot, you guys. And yeah, that's it. See ya.